Come on, Dizzy. Dizzy, come on. Come on. Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Crafting and Crime Daily, the edition where it snows outside. I woke up to a blanket of snow all over the ground, and then when I tried to walk the dogs, right away I realized, oh my god, it was so slippery. I said, no, we are not doing this. So I took the dogs off the leash, let them run around, and that's what you saw at the beginning. Tootsie just, oh my god, when she gets off the leash, whoa, she loves it. And she loves snow. Yeah. So this is the show where I recap live trials, and I am recapping the retrial of Mark Jensen. Now, we are on Murdaugh watch. Alex Murdaugh. They are still in the process of picking a jury. Yesterday they had a motion hearing where they argued about a gun, and then they argued, yeah. So hopefully all that's been, this, you know, typically when I would do trials, you get all these motions, these pre-trial motions out of the way before the date of the trial, but they don't do it that way in South Carolina or in Judge Clifton Newman's courtroom, apparently. So they were doing it yesterday. So they have the jury pulled down to 180 people who are all coming back at 11 a.m. today, 10 a.m. Central Time. And at that point, I think they're going to do some further whittling down of those 180 people to the point where they get to use their challenges. I think each side gets 10. And what a challenge is, a peremptory challenge, is where you can say, I don't want that juror. And you don't have to give a reason. Now, if the other side believes that you are doing this for, maybe it's a race issue or something like that, they may ask the judge, I'd like them to articulate a race, I can't talk today, a racially neutral reason why they're excluding this juror. And they have to give one. And it's easy to come up with them. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if they're going to show that. They've been airing the jury selection, but audio only, no video. Let me put my coffee down. So if the opening statements happen to occur this afternoon, I will go live. I'll cover the opening statements. If they occur tomorrow, we'll cover them tomorrow. Yes. Because I don't have to go down to the Social Security office tomorrow. I haven't told you guys what's been going on. You're like, you never talk about your personal life anymore. I know, because it's just that boring. Well, 2 weeks ago, I was asked, to get certain documents for the Social Security office, my marriage certificate, certified copies, and my divorce decree. So I get those overnight. They're here the next day. You spend enough money, you get them. I pay an expedited fee, and because I wanted to get the death certificate, certified copy for my ex-husband out of North Carolina. The other two documents were coming from Florida. No problem. Got them the next day. But if you order a document out of North Carolina, for some reason there's a ridiculously long delay, 3 months, but you still have to pay an expedited fee. Don't ask me why. So I call the Social Security office, and they're like, oh, no, don't worry about the death certificate, because I explained to them it's going to take 3 months. And they're like, no, we can do it based on our records. And yeah, hey, okay. But we need the other two documents. So I got them the next day, take them down to the local Social Security office where they have to visually see the originals, and then they certify that they've seen the originals, and then they tell the person that's assigned to you to help you with your case, who is in Tampa, So the Wichita office is telling this lady in Tampa that they've got the documents and they get them over to her. So fast forward 2 weeks, we're still waiting for the documents. So this lady in Tampa, she calls the office and they're like, no, we can't find them. Can't find them. Oh, look. So they set up an appointment for me for tomorrow with the manager of the office. And boy, if I had to go to that office, I was going to go right up to the woman that I handed those documents to and say, what is your name? Yes, I was going to go all Karen on her. Yeah. So then I get a call first thing this morning. Oh, we got the documents. You don't have to go in. They came in the mail today. I'm like, or they're in, because I opened my computer today and there they are. Apparently the person I gave them to was a trainee and she didn't know how to certify them properly and whatever. I don't know. Anyway, I didn't have to go Karen on her. I don't have to go there tomorrow. I can bring you the live opening statements in the Alex Murdaugh case. Yes. Bureaucracies. Oh my God. I want to say, check Joe Biden's house. They're probably in his garage. That's where my papers are. Okay. Let's talk about the retrial of Mark Jensen. Let me tell you a little bit about this case because I've been talking about this case for days. But Mark Jensen is on trial for the alleged murder of his wife. She died from ingestion of antifreeze and asphyxiation in 1998, December of 1998. December 3rd, 1998, between 1 and 2 p.m. to be exact. I'm sorry, I've got the curtains open so I can see the snow, and I'm like, oh, look at it. Anyway, now his defense is, I didn't do this. I did not. This is not murder. This is suicide. She was depressed. She set me up. She framed me. She made it look like I was the bad guy because she had told several people, if anything happens to me, he did it. Now, the letter that she wrote saying exactly that is not allowed to come in. That's why we're having a retrial because, yeah, I'll get to that. But she also leaves several voicemails with the police and she tells friends, listen, I'm scared of my husband because I think he's trying to poison me. Anyway, was she setting him up? So he was having an affair at the time with a woman in the office, Kelly Lamonti. After Julie's death, Kelly, within a month, leaves her husband, moves in with Mark. Well, she said she didn't move in with him. She said she moved to his town. She gets an apartment. But we heard from a witness the other day who said, I came there in January. Oh, Julie's brother. I got there in January and she knew where everything was in the house and was, ordering the boys around. So she'd moved in essentially. So anyway, Mark ends up marrying this woman. They have a child and he's not arrested for the murder of his wife until 2002, but he bonds out. And it's not until 2007 when a coworker, Ed Klug, comes forward and says, hey, he and I went to this conference and he told me he was researching how to kill your wife. He went on this website, howtokillyourwife.com, and he was telling me that you could do it with antifreeze because it's tasteless and it crystallizes your body from the inside out. And based on that conversation, they have this huge hearing, a revocation hearing, where they revoke his bond and they put him in jail. And he's been in jail ever since. He's convicted of this murder in 2008. That conviction is overturned because the appellate judge said that letter where Julie says, if anything happens to me, he did it, should not have been read to the jury, nor should the voicemails that she's left for the police officers. They should not have heard those because the defense did not have the opportunity to cross-examine her because she's dead. Go figure. So the appellate court orders a new trial, which does not occur until 2023. Now, the prosecutor is the same prosecutor that tried that case back in 2008. He no longer works for the prosecutor's office. He resigned from the prosecutor's office and took a job with the Department of Transportation as their lead counsel, but he has come back as a special prosecutor to try this case. Because he said way back in 2008, if I have to try this case again, I will. And he's trying this case. Now, he's got some other special prosecutors sitting next to him. One is his wife. The young girl that you see next to him, she's also a special prosecutor. I suspect she actually does work in the prosecutor's office. The woman behind him is his wife, and she's an attorney. Serving more in a paralegal / kick me in the butt sort of type role, which, he laughs about with the judge. Now, the defense team, whole new defense team. I don't know what the story is there. I don't know. Typically, in these capital murder cases, if you ask for a public defender and they declare that you're indigent, they will actually, they have a list of attorneys who are willing to do capital murder cases. They're private attorneys, but they're willing to do it on behalf of the public defender's office. And they're paid a lump sum. There's a lump sum that you get paid to do it. And I don't know if that's how it works in this state, Wisconsin, but that's how it worked where I was. So you get a private law firm defending you, and they're doing it for X amount of money. It's not a lot of money. At the time, back in when I was practicing, which was a long time ago, it was $50,000. So I'm sure it's more than that now. But still, the amount of work you have to put in these cases is ginormous. So fast forward, we're in day 9 or 8, 9, I don't know, of this trial. The last witness that the prosecution puts on is a forensic pathologist. She served as the medical examiner in Waukesha or Kenosha, Wisconsin. But she covers other counties. But she was asked back in 2007 because she took the job in 2005. So she was asked in 2005, can you review this autopsy that took place, in this office? So she reviewed it, and at the time, her conclusion was, at the time of the revocation hearing, or when she gave testimony, based on her review in 2005, she said this death was due to poisoning by ethylene glycol, antifreeze. Now, she changed her opinion for the trial in 2008 based on the testimony at the revocation in 2007, which was Aaron Dillard, the inmate, who described what Mark said, that he had sat on her back with her face in the pillow until she died. Now, on the stand yesterday, she said the reason she changed her opinion, she changed it to the cause of death was ethylene glycol poisoning exacerbated by asphyxiation. Or assisted by asphyxiation. She said it absolutely, what Aaron Dillard was saying absolutely fits with the evidence in this case. The only way he could have got that information is if he had access to Mark's trial file, and actually found this woman's testimony and saw the autopsy report. But he says, no, I didn't go into that cell. I never looked at it. But because his description of what Mark told him, the way he killed his wife, fit so conclusively with the autopsy findings, that's how they ruled it was asphyxiation. Now, her testimony was really, really interesting. After she served as a medical examiner in Wisconsin, she went down to Tampa, Florida, and served as a medical examiner down there until she retired. She's now retired, as is most people in this case, because this thing is 3 decades old. So she described that the gastric contents that Julie had were ethylene glycol, Librium, Ambien, Benadryl, and paroxetine, which is the Paxil that she took. Now, and I'm thinking, why in the world would this woman have Librium on board? You know, nobody prescribes Librium anymore. Well, at the time, back in the 90s, they would prescribe Librium for acid reflux. So that explains why she might have had Librium in her. But the autopsy, not only did she have, and she had a very small amount of ethylene glycol in her stomach, like half a teaspoon. But she also had ethylene glycol in her bloodstream and in her kidneys. Now, she explained the 3 stages of ethylene glycol poisoning, antifreeze poisoning. First of all, she said it is a sweet tasting liquid. Apparently, in the first trial, the prosecutor had her taste it. Now, she immediately spit it out, but she said it's sweet. I would not have done that. He's like, we're not going to make you do that today. I'm like, yeah, you're darn right you're not going to make me do that. Yeah, that was weird. I should be diamond painting, right? What? Let me see. Oh, man, that air is cold. It's supposed to get really windy this afternoon. You know what? Okay. I had to think about where I was here on the painting. So I'm just going to put this row down. Then I can say I diamond painted. There we go. I put down a whole row of diamonds. There we go. Straighten them out a little bit. Okay. Where was I? Oh, so she's going through the 3 stages of ethylene glycol poisoning. The first stage, because it's an alcohol, you react the same way it's metabolized the same way alcohol is. So you're having this reaction that simulates being drunk, which would explain why she was jumping on the bed on the December 2nd, you know, after one of her doses. She's jumping up in bed and acting crazy. And at 10 o'clock that morning, she had gotten, there was a phone call with the neighbor, Ms. Voigt, and Ms. Voigt says she sounded like she was drunk. That would explain that, because she'd had that ethylene glycol in her system. Stage 1. Stage 2 is that you start having difficulty breathing, very difficulty breathing. And then stage 3 is where it starts to crystallize in your kidneys, and it's very painful. Think about, I don't know if you've ever had a kidney stone. It's painful. Imagine these crystals forming in your kidneys. Yeah. And she did have these crystals in her kidneys. So what this led the medical examiner to believe, because she had ethylene glycol in 3 different stages, like in her stomach, in her bloodstream, and in her kidneys, so she was in first, second, and third stage, is that she had been having multiple doses, at least 2 doses of ethylene glycol, at least, which would have in and of itself been enough to kill her, except she wasn't dying fast enough. Remember, Aaron Dillard said, he told me he was afraid she wasn't going to die before the boys got home from school, so he just helped her along. Yeah. That, combined with the knowledge that the medical examiner had that Julie was fearful for her life. Now, she had already been told by the attorneys, you can't mention the letter, you cannot mention the voicemails. And they're like, well, what makes you think that? Well, she told her friends that she was afraid of her husband, that he was trying to poison her. There you have it, folks. The other thing she had said, interestingly enough, was that people who commit suicide, they drink large amounts of ethylene glycol. Not teeny tiny multiple doses of ethylene glycol. They just take a cup of ethylene glycol and they drink it. And they're done with it. That's it. So this was not the typical suicide presentation. So this was the prosecution's last witness. They rested after this. Then the defense showed, they had a couple women come in person. These were women who had dated Aaron Dillard, who, sorry about the dryer, who had used a fictitious name and swindled them out of money. And they were testifying that, what do you think about his character for truthfulness? He's a liar. He's terrible. He doesn't tell the truth. Anyway, so those are the two women that, one, and then another one by videotape. Yep, I dated him. Yep, he was terrible. Yeah, so that's where we left off with defense. Now, outside the presence of the jury, when the prosecution rests in a criminal case, at this point, the defense makes a motion to dismiss or a motion for judgment of acquittal. And it's a typical motion that you have to make this in order to maintain your appellate rights. So the motion basically states that based on everything the prosecution put in, they have not made a prima facie case. They haven't made a case that the jury could find that Mark Jensen killed his wife. And they stressed that they could not find credible evidence that he killed his wife, that all the evidence that was not credible. So the judge actually went through every single thing, that every single witness made comments about what they testified to, what he thought of them, and at the end said denied. These things are rarely granted, these motions for judgment of acquittal or motions to dismiss. Very rarely, almost never. And then the defense will go on with their case. So this morning when I tuned in, they had put on a psychotherapist who saw Julie Jensen back in 1991, and he was trying to read his notes and he couldn't read his own notes. He's now retired. That's what she was suffering from, postpartum depression. Probably has nothing to do with this case. And yeah. Anyway, where was I? Before I was interrupted by the dryer. So that's where we are in that case. Now, some of you brought up, you forgot the calendar. I did. Monday and Tuesday, I forgot the calendar. Here it is. So I'm going to read what happened on Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay. And last Friday, apparently. Oh, okay. Let's go for Monday. The stalker squirrel. We're going to talk about a squirrel. In July 2015, a woman in North Rhine-Westphalia, Germany, called police to report that she was being stalked in her yard by a tiny, aggressive red squirrel. We have red squirrels. They are a little aggressive, especially against cats. They don't like Stitch. The agitated rodent was arrested and hauled to the local police station, where it was discovered that irritability was stemming from exhaustion. The squirrel was hand-fed honey with a dropper until it regained its strength, then released to a rescue center. Really? Okay. Okay. Let's read Tuesdays. Oh my goodness. On February 1st, 2021, 6 people were arrested after altering the famous Hollywood sign, the big sign up there in Los Angeles, to read Holly Boob, alleging they intended to raise awareness for breast cancer. They hiked to the iconic spot, covered the W with a tarp reading B, and fashioned the D to read the same. The group was caught on their way back down the hill and was later cited for trespassing on land privately held by the Hollywood Sign Trust. There was no damage to the sign, so no vandalism charges were brought. The sign has a long history of alterations by pranksters, including 2 turns as Hollyweed, one in 1976 and another in 2017. Now that's some crime. There you go. All right. Today we have a true crime quiz. Okay. I'm going to see which ones of you watch till the end of the video. And make sure you hit the like button. If you appreciate the show, hit the like button. The like button loves it when you hit him. It's that little thing down there that goes like this. And also, if you're enjoying the show and you want to support the contents of the show, you can do a super thanks. Yep. And you can subscribe or become a member of the channel. Yeah. And share this with somebody you think might enjoy watching it and answering this quiz. Okay. Match the killer with the state they terrorized. Answers are on the back. Oh, this is good. I should save this for Sunday or this afternoon on the live. Okay. I'm going to save this because, yeah, this will be fun to do. We'll do this on the live. I'm going to be live tonight at 6:30 p.m. So tune in for that. All right. We can do Fridays because I missed Friday too. Wow. Okay. Weinberger versus Weisenfeld. This is a Supreme Court of the United States case. This was one of 6 gender discrimination cases future Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg argued as director of the ACLU Women's Rights Project. The case, argued on January 20th, 1975, challenged a gender distinction in the Social Security Act of 1935 that entitled widows to benefits but not widowers. The plaintiff was Stephen Weisenfeld, whose wife, Paula Polacek, died in childbirth. Polacek, a school teacher, was the main earner in the family, and after her death, Weisenfeld had to find childcare, cut back his hours to take care of their son. Because he was a man, Weisenfeld was not eligible to collect Polacek's Social Security benefits to supplement his reduced income. What? That's terrible. The court ruled in favor of Weisenfeld on March 19th, 1975, in an 8-1 decision that determined gender-based distinctions violated the Due Process Clause of the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. The case challenged discrimination against wives as breadwinners and husbands as caretakers and set the precedent that married couples must be granted the same benefits regardless of gender. Yeah, you go, RBG, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I love that woman. Okay. There we go. Tomorrow, a phone sex emergency. Yes. All right. The squirrel got arrested. We're going to do a true crime quiz tonight. Now, it's Craft With Me Wednesday. What craft should I do? I'm going to be doing a cross stitch Zoom this afternoon. So maybe I'll show you my cross stitch. Yeah, maybe I'll just, that way I don't have to change anything. I can just turn my extra camera on. We can do cross stitch. We can have this fun little quiz. And the like button saying, please still hit me. Yes, I know. Yes. Okay. That's it. I hope that I get to bring you live the opening statements in the Alex Murdaugh case sometime soon. So I will see you guys tomorrow in Crafting and Crime Daily or in the live this afternoon. Take care, everybody. Bye.